So let's just talk quickly a little bit about wind. Wind, as you know, the power of wind varies as the cube of velocity. So everyone loves these big towers. I think that's the world's biggest. I'm not sure if it's 4 megawatts or what, but it's a big one. Typically, the land-based ones are going more around 2.5 megawatts. Again, more wind power was put online in the U.S. last year than the entire globe did in nuclear. So wind is definitely gaining traction. China's got a massive 5-year plan to put a lot of wind online. So if you can invest in Chinese wind, I would check that out closely. We're actually looking at a financing right now for a company in China that's manufacturing wind turbines. And again, it's a difficult business. I've got a friend that works for Clipper Wind Power, and they're one of the few U.S. manufacturers of wind, and they're just about to get sold or do a refinancing. They've had a heck of a time with their blades. Their blades got cracks in it. They're carbon fiber, and just like the new Boeing Dreamliner, how many problems they've had with their carbon fiber. Clipper Wind had a big, this span here is about 100 meters between here and here. So you're talking big blades with massive stress on them. So if you don't do them exactly perfect, after a year or two, they get a big crack in them, and then it's, a multi-million-dollar job to hire these cranes and get back out there and replace them. This is no small feat, especially in windy locations, you can imagine. Yeah, exactly. It's quite difficult. So the key is, getting with companies that have the experience. Vestas went through their problems, and Suzlon went through their problems. But for the most part, at least, Vestas has figured them out. Suzlon, not so much. They're still having a lot of warranty issues, evidently, from what I've read. So, and the problem with wind, it's really hard to invest if you're a U.S. investor, because the way our government had tax credits and what the policies were towards wind over the last, especially during the Bush administration, were very chaotic. So no manufacturers basically got going, no big ones got going in the U.S. And so now if you look at the top 10 wind companies, I think only really GE is probably the only U.S. manufacturer, which is terrible because we got the best wind resource in the world, but we lost out on that because we didn't make it a priority. So that's kind of the deal with wind. But you can see, wind capacity is just growing and will continue to grow because it's a very cheap way to make electricity. And this even goes back to the smart grid, because wind's so chaotic and volatile in terms of its production, right? Wind's blowing a lot of times at night, which is good for for the people that need load. If we've got solar going during the day, a lot of times wind will produce at night, but those don't do you any good unless you've got a smart grid to connect them. And again, how much more important it is to know what the production is from these different facilities and what the consumption's like. So the grid's got to be a lot smarter about getting electrons to the right place, because we're really upgrading an infrastructure that was put in more in the 50s, or at least 50 years old. And that's why there's going to be a lot of opportunity in smart grid. It's because the renewables will push the smart grid forward. Let's see if I got a chart here. Well, American Superconductor, so they've been supplying a Chinese wind manufacturer with electronics and doing more of the smarter part of the turbines instead of the gears, the basics. So they've done quite well, and their sales are growing nicely. I definitely keep these on your radar. This stock could continue to perform really well. Just really quickly on pollution control, because it happened to be a big win for us. Again, the number one cause of death in China. We're in the first inning of enforcement there, because many factories, many power plants have no pollution control. It's like a death zone around a lot of those plants in China. People don't want to live there. They all get asthma. People die early. So they've really got to do a lot of cleanup, and there could be some good economic opportunity.